been a surreal but amazing journey for me since winning MasterChef Singapore Season 2. Hi everybody, I'm Cheong, the winner of MasterChef Singapore Season 2. So as you guys may have seen from the show, I'm actually a huge fan of using science and different techniques in my cooking. And so today actually Thermomix Singapore has actually invited me to showcase one of my signature recipes using the Thermomix, because Thermomix is so much easier. You just turn a bit and they do the work for you. And it's so much easier compared to the conventional method where you're using a stovetop, and a small margin for error also. So yeah, if you guys have any questions along the way, just ask me. And before that, also just please like and share this video so that everyone can see this recipe video. So today I'll be actually doing a choux crackling, which is actually a crispy cream puff with a crispy biscuit layer on top, and then choux pastry, and then a burnt vanilla creme diplomat. So it's actually a very nice cream puff snack in high tea or any time of the day. So here's the ingredients for today's recipe. So these are the ingredients for the choux pastry: milk, water, butter, flour, salt, sugar, eggs. And then this is the recipe for the crackling. So you have flour, icing sugar, and butter. These are the ingredients for the creme diplomat. So you have egg yolks, cornstarch, sugar, salt, gelatin, vanilla bean, milk, and whipping cream. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna do the things that is gonna take the longest, which is the creme diplomat. So we gotta burn our vanilla in the oven. So vanilla, when it's not burnt, it's very floral, like vanilla essence. But when you burn it, it actually has a very nice like black sesame goma type of fragrance, which I really like, and I think it really makes this recipe very unique. So we're just gonna let that roast in the oven, 200 degrees, for about maybe 10 to 15 minutes until it puffs up. So before that, we can get going with our crackling. So equal parts of flour, butter, as well as icing sugar. Okay, so we mix everything. Just make sure that it comes to become a dough, and then it's done. Okay, so this is how it should look like this. So it's like becomes nearly going to become a dough together, and then we just roll it out. Because the crackling is actually quite sensitive, so you gotta actually keep it frozen, so that when you actually cut it out into the rings, it will actually hold its shape. If not, it will just melt. Just roll it very thin. It's important to roll it thin, because if it's too thick, too heavy, your choux will not rise properly. So make sure that it's thin. It should be about maybe 3 to 5 mm thick. And a good way to gauge this, you can just look at it like this and see how thin is it. That's actually quite a good way. Or you can just use rolling pins that actually have you can adjust the thickness. Okay, so this is quite good. We will put this in the freezer. Oh, we got a question. Okay, so for those wondering whether you guys will have the recipe after this, yes, it will be after this tutorial. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask me anything. I'll be happy to share with you. Okay, so you just let this clean. And in the meantime, we will handle the next most important element, which is the choux pastry. Okay, so the choux pastry, we're gonna have milk, water, and butter. So these three are it's gonna be the liquid part of the choux pastry. Some recipes actually just call for just water, but I like to add milk because it adds a bit of more richness to it. And you can also infuse a lot of flavors inside here, you know, spices, pandan leaf, just to make your choux a little bit more special. Yeah, anything that can be infused in liquid, you can just feel free to put them inside this part here. So we will use our Thermomix to adjust the settings for the choux pastry. So 5 minutes. So the important thing is to melt the butter, actually. So once we melt the butter, it actually makes the thing become more liquid, so that it's able to incorporate into the dough. So just let it go for 5 minutes. After that, we're going to add our flour in. So some of you might ask, like, how do I come up with recipes and all that? I think it's recipe development is a very huge part of my cooking because I do a lot of R&D, and because I'm quite like scientific and technical, I like to do a lot of different types of R&D with different types of ingredients. Basically weird stuff, like I do the weird stuff. So yeah, I do a lot of R&D at home, and this is something that I come up with when I'm bored at home, I guess. Okay, so now we're gonna wait for our vanilla to come out of the oven, and to add on the extra bit of flavor, right, I'm actually gonna blow torch it to make it more burnt, because I really like the burnt flavor inside the vanilla. So the aroma of the vanilla is actually wafting through the whole room, and we can actually prepare to infuse the milk into our vanilla. If you were to use extract or essence for this recipe, you have a vanilla cream puff and not burnt vanilla cream puff. So, and I don't really like essence or the vanilla paste, because essence is actually fake vanilla flavor, so it's not ideal. And the paste it's a vanilla bean, the seeds, yes, but they actually to bring out the flavor of the vanilla, they actually add propylene glycol and other alcohol. So like it's not really the real deal lah, even though it's from the real vanilla, but I don't like the alcohol taste that comes with it. So I prefer using the real thing, and yeah, and you can burn it. That's the most important thing. And also for all vanilla products, right, you want it to be vanilla, you need to have the black seeds, the black seeds. If it's not black seed, it's not called vanilla already. So that is what I like, and it's also quite aesthetically pleasing when you cut open. Then you see a lot of nice black dots of vanilla. Okay, so we're gonna put so help a tip, so we're gonna make a creme pad. So we're gonna put actually half the milk in, because so that we can actually cool it down with the other half of the milk, so that we don't have to wait so long in the fridge. So we can just pour in half. So this milk is actually there to infuse with the vanilla, because the vanilla takes some time to develop flavors and to be infused with the milk. So we're actually gonna blend the whole thing with the pot itself actually, so to infuse the flavor into the milk. Okay, so now we change our oven to 200 degrees and no fan. That's important for choux pastry, because the fan will actually disrupt the rising of the pastry. So our Thermomix is actually calling for us. So we're gonna put in the flour now. So this is the very crucial part in the choux pastry, where you need to cook out the flour and to make dough, to like form a film at the bottom of the Thermomix, so that that's when you know the dough is ready and you can incorporate eggs inside. Go ahead, like. So in the meantime, our vanilla is ready. So you can actually see how much the pots puff up. Can you see? They're puffed up. And like the outside, the shell is actually become like crispy already. So this is good. And then we're now going to torch it. Let the salt in. Okay, so right now, this is roasted vanilla. Now, this is burnt vanilla. It's gonna catch on fire, and that's what you want. Okay, so our vanilla is nicely burnt. So you see, there's like the burn marks. That's what you want, and it's actually crispy already. You can hear it's actually crispy. So that's what you want. So we just put everything here. I might need a bit more milk. Okay, so vanilla, the magic temperature is 80. So you want to infuse it at 80 degrees for about 20 minutes, minimally 20 minutes. But you can, to make it more flavorful, you can actually 80 degrees 20 minutes and then leave it in your fridge overnight to cold infuse. So your flavors will be even more developed. So you're gonna go high so that we can blend everything together. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so just let it go 20 minutes. And then our choux pastry is about done. So you gotta let this cool down. So when the choux pastry is cooked, you gotta let it cool down because when we incorporate the egg yolks inside, we don't want the egg yolks to cook because the eggs is actually the one that's gonna cause it to rise. So when you cook the eggs, your choux pastry is not gonna rise. So you gotta let it cool down, and that's very important. Don't be patient. Don't rush this. You can actually speed up the cooling by just putting it into another bowl and then spreading out thinly. But I do not have another bowl, so we can just spread it on the bowls of the Thermomix, just to make it cool down even faster. My aunt is actually the one who introduced Thermomix to me. So she just suddenly brought this machine to my house and then started cooking with it. Then I was like, what is this? And it's like a blender, can heat up. Then like, oh, it's quite interesting lah. It's quite interesting, but I don't know how to use lah. So it was only until she got her TM6 and then she gave me her TM5. Then I managed to try to make things with it. But mostly I use Thermomix to make sauces and like custards as well. Because it's like some certain custards you need precise heat control or maybe even sous vide. But Thermomix you can just do it. You will not like make your custard become scrambled. So I think that's a very good property of Thermomix. Okay, so the vanilla has actually blended nicely. So burnt vanilla, it is black. So it's not like the normal vanilla you see. So I think it's nicer. So now we need to sieve this because we actually blend it together with the stick itself. So the sieve can actually catch out the thing, but the seeds will go through. So you still have the seeds from that thing. So let me take a jug. Sieve. I'm just pouring the milk so that I can get more of the seeds out. So you see, all the what's remaining, they'll catch it. So you won't have those pieces in your cream. So I just rinse this and we're going to make the creme pad. Okay, so we got a question. Someone asked whether we can keep those vanilla seed that is left. Actually no, because they have been burnt and they have been pulverized into bits already. So we usually don't keep it, but if it's left with the whole the husk, right, you can actually use it for vanilla sugar. Just let it infuse with sugar, so you have like vanilla sugar. But yeah, this one cannot use really. So next we're gonna do the creme pad. So we got egg yolks, We're just gonna put the egg yolks in. So traditionally, right, if you were to do this with the classical method, you need to temper the egg yolks, which is a tedious process because you need to make sure that your eggs don't scramble when you do this. But with the Thermomix, you don't need to worry about that. So we just gotta coat every piece, every single grain of the cornstarch with the egg yolk, so that it doesn't become lumpy when you make the creme pad. So we're just gonna, this thing comes into a make sure this comes together. Then that's where you add our sugar. So by adding sugar into the egg yolks when it's beating, right, you actually create some air, and that is good because you want it to be light and fluffy for this, and you don't want it to be dense for the cream. Salt. The salt is there to, not for you to notice that it's salty, but it's there to bring out the flavors even more of the vanilla. So when this thing has become nice and airy, okay, we will add our so now we can add our milk in. And leave some so that we can cool this down. So I can put this in the fridge also. So now we're going to cook to the point where the cornstarch starts to thicken and the yolk also starts to thicken. We're going to go at speed at least 3 because you don't want the egg to catch at the bottom of the bowl, because it also makes it a little bit harder to clean. So you gotta be fast, and also to make sure that it cooks the thing quite evenly. So when it hits 80, we'll drop our gelatin sheets in. So the gelatin sheets is actually helps it set the whole creme pad inside the choux, so that when you pipe, it doesn't flow out. So this is there to help it keep it in shape. Okay, so for gelatin, you gotta bloom. So by blooming it, you allow it to be more easily incorporated into the custard, and also easy to melt, so you won't have this like plastic sheet kind of feel inside. So it's 70, so I can let it bloom my gelatin. Okay, it's 80. Our gelatin has been bloomed. Make sure you squeeze all the excess water out. Why do you need to squeeze the water? Because the water actually might dilute the flavor, because this is mostly cream, milk, egg yolks, which is fat, so you don't want water inside. So just let it go, so it will dissolve. Cling wrap. So for custards like this, you gotta make sure that you cling wrap to the surface of the thing to prevent any skin from forming. So the skin actually will make your custard have a different texture. So you gotta make sure that it's in contact. So you let this chill and let the gelatin take over. Okay, we'll do do our choux pastry. One egg at a time to incorporate this in. Okay, choux pastry dough is done. So we just gotta pipe it out into a piping bag. Okay, so you want the texture to be like this. Some certain recipes for choux pastry calls for it to be like a lot more watery than this, but I prefer this better than that because the watery choux pastry is, when you rise, it actually has the chance for it to spread out. So it will not be as tall as this type of choux pastry. So a tip to make this go all the way to the bottom, just swing. So you bring it all the way down. And always make sure make your piping bag as neat as possible with a friendly scraper. Make sure you have no air inside because when you pipe your choux, you don't want to have suddenly meet an air bubble and then your choux pastry become a weird shape. So make sure no air. Okay, you can do a swing again. And tie it up. So we can start piping our choux pastry. Depends on the size you want to do, but you can cut the hole to how big you want. But always make sure when you cut the piping bag, you want to cut it like straight, because when it's slanted, the pastry where you pipe out, right, is not gonna be nice. So cut it straight. Okay, let's test. Test one here. So this, you can also even use this for eclair as well. It's actually basically the same dough. So that's a good size. You might be wondering, there's a tip. Won't that burn? That's where the crackling comes in. This is you gotta do it fast because once this thing gets to room temp, it's not gonna be a nice crackling anymore. I see some of you asking how long can the choux pastry last after you pipe them out. Actually, it can last quite some time. Just make sure that there's not much skin forming, because if it forms, then it will not rise properly as well. So my suggestion is to do it as fast as possible. But you know, sometimes the crackling will make the thing a bit harder. So you can have choux pastry but don't have the crackling. Also can. You can just bake the choux. So if you guys don't know how to pipe it well, you can watch it from the Thermomix, the screen. Because Thermomix 6 actually has quite a big screen, and you can watch videos from there. Okay, big time. So for a tip, when your choux is out from the oven, okay, because they are actually very hot, so they are actually steaming inside also. So when the longer they steam inside will become soggy. So let the steam out, poke holes. So you poke holes to let the steam out. So you can stay crispy longer. So how do you know if your choux is successful is when it rises like this, and also when it comes out of the oven it doesn't sink, because if it sinks means you have dough that is uncooked. So the signs of choux, right, is where the eggs, right, when it cooks, it actually the water inside the dough will actually evaporate. So when it evaporates, right, it actually forms a air cavity inside. So when your eggs are not cooked properly, when it rises, right, when it comes out, it will sink. So to ensure that it cooks properly, you need to ensure that the integrity of the pastry is there. If not, it will sink. That means you have failed. Just let it steam. So this can just chill out. So in the meantime, we can prep the cream. Just pouring the whipping cream into the Thermomix because we're gonna whip this. And then, so these are creme pad. So once you add pastry cream to creme pad, it becomes creme diplomat. So yeah, we're just gonna whip it and then we're gonna pour it into our creme pad base. Okay, so it's best to whip cream when it's super cold. You know, a super cold whipped cream, super cold bowl. That way, it's able to because it's basically fat, 35% fat. So when it's cold, fat is actually a solid. So when it's cold, it's able to catch the air bubbles. That's why it's able to whip. But you room temperature cream, you can't do that because it's not able to hold the air bubbles. Ah, good. Just nice. Just nice. So now we're just gonna whisk the whipped cream inside our base. So for those people, I'm actually using an ice bath. So this actually speeds up the process a lot. But if you don't have an ice bath, you can just put it in the fridge and make sure everything is just very cold. So everything just makes it easier to mix. Yeah, actually there is a halal gelatin. You can use fish gelatin. They come in powder form, but do take note that they have different bloom strength. So I would say maybe fish gelatin is about 200 bloom, and then the sheet one, they are usually in like gold, silver, platinum grade. But I would say they are quite interchangeably quite similar lah, because this is not a very you don't need the right type of gelatin, because the gelatin is only there to increase the viscosity. So I think it's not too much of an issue to be very precise with that. So one sheet is about 2 grams. So you can just use 2 grams of gelatin powder. But gelatin powder, when you bloom, you have to bloom it in liquid. So I would say bloom it in the milk that you're gonna use to put inside, so that you don't like dilute the flavor with water. Okay, I think it's okay. Thank you guys for joining us today for this recipe showcase. I hope you guys try this at home. So this is a choux crackling with burnt vanilla creme diplomat. So yeah, this is a very special recipe because this is something that I tried R&D at home quite numerous times and come out with this. So it's crispy yet soft, and also a very unique flavor combination with the burnt vanilla. So if you guys do not have access to vanilla pots, okay, you can just use vanilla bean paste, but it will not be burnt vanilla. It will just be classic, you know, creme pad with the whipped cream. So it's just vanilla, or you can even use like lemon curd inside also as well. But you just gotta find a way to make sure that it's not too watery. You know, maybe add a little bit of gelatin as well. So the important thing is you need to have a cream that's actually able to hold its shape inside the pastry. So yeah, and not just sweet stuff, you can even put savory stuff as well. I did one as well, it's a gougier. So I made a bechamel sauce. You add some cheese, some black truffle, and some parma ham. Then you can just pipe inside. It's a savory choux pastry. So it can be taken both sweet or savory. Just depends on what is your type of tea. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask the Thermomix team or me as well. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope to see you again soon.